what they're doing is not trademark protection, it's anti-competitive. And a lot of that happens when folks try to, they come up with a phrase that is used by thousands of different print-on-demand folks, and they see it everywhere. And they say, okay, well, I want to try to monopolize this because it's selling really well. And they will register it they'll file it with the Patent and Trademark Office, but they'll likely talk to a lawyer or they'll read something online that says, well, to register for a shirt or for an apparel brand, it needs to be a brand. So use it on a tag or a hang tag. And so often they'll mock up a tag or a hang tag. It's never going to be how they actually use it, but it's for the PTO. They do it, they sign a sworn statement that this is their product only, that no one else has the right to use this phrase. They get it through the Patent and Trademark Office. The examiner looks at this for 45 minutes. They don't really spend a ton of time on it. And then sometimes they're able to get a registration on a common phrase that their sole purpose is to stop others from selling it on one of these platforms. They don't have a brand. Consumers look at it. They don't see it as belonging to one company. And then they use that as an aggressive tactic to try to take down other people. That has happened to my clients, and I have responded with at one point I sent a draft petition to cancel that said, you've got 48 hours to withdraw this or we are canceling your trademark registration. Like, what are you going to do? And we worked it out. But I think that that's the kind of thing that happens more often than I'd like to admit. And even earlier in my career, we had clients that didn't tell us that this is what they were trying to do, and we had to dig them out of some holes and tell them, you can't do this. You're out of your mind. What do you, like, if you would have told us this, we would have told you this is a terrible idea. And since then, it really don't go into that stuff at all, and I counsel clients away from that and have them focus on their own brands. But just know it's out there, and that just because someone owns a trademark registration doesn't mean they own a valid trademark registration. And the issue is costs, because you're going to have to spend time and money either threatening to go after them or actually going after that validity and removing their ability to claim this kind of government benefit of a trademark registration. And so
that's crazy. I want to give an example for this, because there's one massive big seller, or one of the top sellers in Amazon merch has been for years, a shirt that says, I'm not old, I'm classic. And it's got like a vintage car on it. And I'm pretty sure someone trademarked that phrase. So that would be an example of something that shouldn't be allowed, but it did slip through the net.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that a lot of the times, I posted a post on LinkedIn. I can actually share that so far this year, the Patent and Trademark Office has denied about 110 phrases for being widely used phrases that don't function as trademarks. They fail to function as a trademark. Some of them were like I heart PR, I heart hot dads, or something like that. They said these are so commonly used, people wouldn't think of this as a brand. They would just think of this as a phrase on the front of a T-shirt. So the examining attorneys have gotten better, but they are fallible. They have a quota that they're trying to hit, and they often miss some phrases that are commonly used. And then some of them I look at, I was like, I have no idea. There's one that was like yeetus deletus. I was like, I must be too old to understand whatever is going on here. But I think it had some, phrase. I don't know what it was, but they said, yeah, it fails to function because that's a widely used phrase. And I was like, it is? Not one of my clients, but one that I saw. So there's a lot of kind of that going on. And sometimes it is completely innocent, or it might even be, and this is what you need to be careful of, is that not everything that is a widely, or a phrase that appears on the front of a T-shirt, sometimes people are able to develop very successful brands that would cause confusion. That there's phrases that sometimes can become brands, and in the cosmetic space and things like that you have to be a little bit careful, because there are some that you're able to kind of develop brand rights, and when consumers see it, they're actually thinking about that brand and not just the phrase in general. So be careful about labeling everything trademark abuse. I think that's what I want to, there's some cases I think that certainly are. Some of them are a little bit more gray as to whether a brand's being built or whether it's actually just trying to be anti-competitive.
And one thing I want to add here as a side note as well, that doesn't mean if there is a trademark phrase that you can now use it in your listings and your designs, because that trademark is kind of unfair, because in the end the marketplace is going to decide whether you're allowed to sell it or not. And if they take down your listing, that's when you have to kind of argue your point, and you're speaking to the Amazon support team, which generally doesn't listen very much. So yes, there is a lot of unfair trademarks out there, and by the sounds of it, the reason why they persist is because it takes money and effort to get them taken down, right? But that doesn't mean that you can safely use them on marketplaces, even if they're not fairly registered.
Yeah, and I like to say that my role is, I am a trademark and copyright attorney, but mostly what I do is risk management. And every time you use any phrase, you're going to have some risk attached to it. And I think that there's ways to reduce that risk. But if we are in a position where I'm sending that angry letter, you've already spent a pretty good amount on legal fees. And more importantly, your business, and if you're spending money on legal fees, it's because your business is losing money. And whether it's through a takedown notice that gets an account locked down or something like that, that's when, if you can avoid that, then that is preferable. Yeah, but sometimes from a marketing, the risk is worth it and the money is worth it. And that's when you just can be as careful as possible, but then also know what you can do if you do run into issues.